awesome hypnotherapy session, your client leaves, and then a couple of days later or a week later, you get a message, or they call you to say that it hasn't worked because they are, let's say it was a stop smoking session and they started smoking even more. Or it was stop drinking session and they are still drinking. Or they might be drinking more, or or they are experiencing a lot of emotions, such as can't really sleep well, or feeling angry or emotional, and they are confused and they think that if anything, the session made things even worse. So, what is this? This is something that a lot of trainings actually don't focus on. I remember when I first qualified, I was not taught about it. And it is something that you either work out on the way or you never really add. And it's processing chat, the processing chat. Basically, when you finish your session, you want to talk to your client to let them know what sort of experiences they are going to go through after the session before they find those resources that really will make a change. So, and it is quite confusing. If they don't know what to expect, then they might be afraid, they might misunderstand things, they might think that they need more sessions or that it hasn't worked and it will never work. So it can cause a lot of problems both for you and for the client. Whereas if you talk to them, so you give them a processing chat and you say, hey, the normal thing after the session, so mind is your mind is processing, your brain is processing, it is looking for the best resources. Kind of it is kind of like shaking something like there were those little balls of Christmas kind of decoration, and then you could shake it, and it was snow everywhere, and then it settled. So that's pretty much what happens to the mind when we go through a really deep conscious and unconscious change during the session. And I would like to emphasize that there are conscious elements to it as well. So, for instance, ACH, Advanced Conversational Hypnotherapy, that I practice and I am training, uh, there there is a lot of conscious, but actually the way the brain goes through hypnosis, the way hypnosis naturally happens, there are always conscious and unconscious elements, and that is part of the healing process as well. And so when you have done a very good session, then when the client leaves, they are still processing. So they haven't quite landed what the resolution is. And in fact, that is immensely good because if it takes longer, it means that they have more time to find those resources, to put things together, and to change various things about their lives. So if you have noticed, like in ACH, we talk about micro sessions because anything and everything. So there is not just one core belief that is behind our issues. There is not just one thing there. So there are several things, several interconnected things, and like dominoes, once you solve one of them, then it kind of triggers a healing process for each one of them. And a lot of that you will tackle through the session, especially if you integrate testing before the end. And then you will see that a lot of things, a lot of conclusions, a lot of emotional issues will have been connected to and will have been behind the symptom that the client came in with. And and then all of this, so their mind is reorganizing itself, their identity is being shaped by all these things that are now no longer there as blocks, and they're kind of finding the resources, they're finding the best way to proceed, as they are reorganizing these things, as their brain is uh, a lot of it unconsciously processing all these changes, so that their whole life can change, not just the symptom that will disappear. And often the symptom is the last thing to disappear. So this is why, for instance, somebody might come in with smoking and then they smoke more, and yet a lot of other things change in their life. And then in the end, because those things no longer trigger a feeling that they need to smoke, they might actually just forget about it, or it might not be a problem anymore. uh, and then it just goes away on its own. Uh, same about other issues. So I would encourage you to really think about processing and integrate it, so that they don't misunderstand the signs and the experiences, like the nightmares, the crying and emotional days, and general tiredness. Yeah, so all of these things can happen, and there are various symptoms that can happen, and then there are some things that might especially appear in certain niches as well. So once you start noticing them, kind of creating a list and then telling your clients that when you are seeing these things, when you're experiencing these things, that's a good sign. That's a sign that your mind is processing, and that you are changing. And of course, if it hasn't, if things haven't worked, then you will ask them. So you check first, are they still processing? And if they are processing, then you don't want to interrupt it. You want them to end that process, end that time, and then bring them back for another session if that is indeed needed.